Hey there, it's Carly Burr and welcome back to my channel where we're focusing on the little things that make a big difference in our lives. First of all, I wanted to apologize for this filming location. Not that the one I usually film in that empty room is much better, but it's so dark outside because of the time change that I can't get enough natural light to make the video work. So I'm actually in my basement in our unfinished bathroom filming from here. So just bear with me. Hopefully this won't be the last time. Hopefully this will be the last time I have to film from here, but we're actually using that room for something else now. So I'm gonna have to find a new location anyway. So have you ever gotten into an elevator and you're not the only one in there, like immediately after someone else walks in and they pull out their phone? So you pull out your phone to avoid an uncomfortable situation and you open up some apps, close some apps, just try to look like you're busy just because it feels a little bit uncomfortable and partly because you're mirroring the behavior of the other person that's in the elevator with you. I'm assuming that we've all been in maybe not this exact situation, but at least a situation that's very similar. But I think you kind of get the idea that I'm going for with painting this picture for you. But alternatively, have you ever gotten into an elevator before and someone walks in behind you and maybe they're already on their phone and you decide to say something to them like, hey, how's your day going? Or just a quick little, small talk conversation starter. And then, they put their phone away and they start engaging and you started, a nice human interaction in that moment by asking that question rather than just mirroring the behavior of that person. But sometimes it doesn't always go that way. Sometimes you can try to start a conversation with someone in a, confined space and they might look up and say, doing good, and look straight back down to their phone and keep on doing what they're doing, and they might not put it away and then start talking with you. Of course, every situation varies from time to time, place to place, depending on the person and the situation itself. But the point being, you decided to start a meaningful conversation rather than just mirror the behavior, rather than just to pull out your phone and act like neither of you are there. I think this is a common situation and a common behavior. We tend to mirror or use our phones to bail us out of uncomfortable situations that honestly most of the time shouldn't be uncomfortable, and it could be an opportunity for us to have a meaningful, even if it's not deep, but just a human interaction. We're missing that so much these days. And in fact, I actually heard a story last month about a woman who had a goal for herself. She was like, I'm going to stop looking at my phone when I'm waiting in lines. She decided that, and then the next day she found herself waiting in line at the grocery store. And so she pulled out her phone, like she usually does, to catch up on email, the news, social, whatever it is that she does while she's waiting in lines. And then she remembered what she had told herself she's going to do. So she's like, oh, I'm not going to look at my phone. She put it away, just started observing what was going on around her. And she noticed there was an elderly gentleman in line in front of her who just had some cans of cat food in his cart, and that was it. So she decided to say something clever to him, like, oh, I can see you have a cat, just to start a conversation. And they talked for a little bit, and he explained to her that he didn't want to go out in the storm that was coming, so he wanted to make sure he didn't get caught without cat food. So he was preparing himself. They talked a little bit longer, he checks out, and as he's walking away to leave the line, he turns to her and he's like, I haven't told anybody this, but today's my birthday. So she wished him a happy birthday, and he smiled and went on his way. And then she felt in that moment so good because she was able to have an interaction with a gentleman who, it was his birthday, even though he was old and birthdays don't matter as much when you get older, even at this point. But she was able to have that interaction with him, wish him a happy birthday, probably make his day. He made her day by having that interaction, and she was feeling so much better than she would have felt if she would just look at her email or check social while waiting in line. The point is, she got to experience the joy that comes from these little, simple, daily human interactions that we have the chance to create in our lives too. But we have to be willing to overlook the discomfort, put our phones down, pay attention to the people around us, and open our mouths. How can we make the most out of these situations, these elevator situations, or these grocery store line situations, whatever those are for you in your life? How can we be better in those instances? And they might not always go the way that we had hoped. This happens to me all the time. People might not respond the way you'd hope that they would. It might not be even a pleasant interaction, but it's the effort and the intention behind it that actually makes the difference. My intention of posting this video and the videos that I'll be posting after this point is not to position myself as someone who does the right thing in every situation, who has really good outcomes in all my interactions, etc. Because I'm definitely not. I'm just trying to be better. I'm trying to improve myself for the next time. I'm just trying to learn and experience more of life. So I'm sharing these in hopes to start conversations between you and I and the people that are also watching these videos, so we can together talk about these situations, what we can do to become better and experience the joy that comes from the little things in life. Like I said at the beginning, the little things that make a big difference in our lives. I'm excited to start talking about more topics like this because these are the things that ultimately shape us and who we become and what our society becomes as well. So I reached out to those of you who I'm lucky enough to be in contact with via email to discuss this before I filmed this video because I wanted to include your input on why we turn to our phones in these situations and what we can do to be better. So here is what I heard. Some of the answers about why we turn to our phones came back as, we turn to our phones not only due to silence and uncomfort, but because it seems to be the norm. And many people mentioned that it's awkward when you're walking past someone, which I can totally agree. Sometimes it does feel awkward, but it doesn't always need to feel that way. More people said some people individually struggle in social situations, which would make sense, right? By pulling out your phone to avoid the discomfort, right? That makes sense if you're socially uncomfortable, so you can escape by pulling this out. Others said that conversation starting and putting yourself out there in that way makes them uncomfortable because they're kind of a shy, quiet, reserved person, which is another way that I can see that. But I also think that all of us should be pushing ourselves to get outside of our comfort zone. Of course, as long as it's a safe environment. Like the story I shared earlier, someone else said that they find themselves waiting or turning to their phones when they're in line for waiting for the bus, etc. And everyone else is on their phones already and everyone's plugged into their headphones. So they just assume that they don't want to talk, which makes sense. It looks like they don't want to be bothered because they're already so plugged in. The point isn't to have the type of interaction you're always wanting. You know, it's not going to be that picture perfect interaction every single time. The point is just to make things better, just to do a little bit better in these situations. And over time, we will get to experience those little conversations that could turn into bigger conversations. And they do make a big difference in our lives, and who knows, the life of the person that we got to interact with. When I asked you the question, how can we be better in these types of situations, here are a couple of things that you said. A few people shared that they've had so many great conversations and met some incredible people by not being on their phone. And some advice that they suggested is that we start little by little, and by doing so, we can break our bad habits of using our phones as a hiding place or a place to avoid situations. Another person that worded it so beautifully says, I think the point is to re-find interesting in what's around us. I cannot believe that looking at a river or birds or people and the experiences in their lives aren't interesting things. Amen. Maybe the key is only to open the eyes again and also to switch what is interesting now, like appearance or trends. So I thought that was absolutely beautiful. Another response that I got from this individual, Alba, she shares that the practice that she actually puts herself through when she feels uncomfortable. And she says, what helps me is to deep breathe and tell myself that it's not a big deal and that I can do anything and not be judged by it. It can be difficult, but if I do it day by day, it becomes easier not to grab my phone when I feel discomfort. So I love that, Alba. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's absolutely incredible. The last I wanted to share about how we can be better was from Cheyenne. She thinks that we should challenge ourselves every day or anytime we go into a public to pick a place and not use our phones and to get out of our comfort zone and talk to at least one stranger. For example, say you're waiting in line for your food and there's another person who ordered before you waiting as well. Why not ask them what they ordered or what they'd recommend for your next meal, or you could just simply smile and say hello. So that's a great suggestion, Jan. I absolutely love that. I think all of those things are such great invitations and great starting places for us to, next time we're in these situations where we can be on our phone, to put the phone down and to actually experience human interaction. I think those are great suggestions of a great place to start. So thank you to those of you who shared and allowed me to share what you shared with me in this video. I hope that it's helpful for someone else that's watching. I really appreciate and value what you teach me really more than you know. That being said, I'd love to hear from you. What do you do in those situations? Do you turn to your phone and mirror the behavior of others? And what can we do to be better? Leave your thoughts and your experiences in the comments below so that we can connect and we can chat about it down there. And if you want to join the conversation before I film these videos, so like you can have your input included in these videos and we can just connect off of YouTube as well, then I suggest joining my Inspired EE letter, which is where I send out these emails where we discuss these topics ahead of time. And it's really such a fun space for me to be able to get to know more of you, since I don't spend much time online, just really through these videos and occasionally in the comments. I'll leave a link in the description for you to join the Inspired EE letter there. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate your time, and I hope this video was helpful for you and that you take the things we talked about and put them into action and experience the joy that comes from the simple things in our lives that really do make the biggest difference. I hope you have an incredible day, and I will catch you next time.